Is good, everyone. This is your host, Deanna Radulescu, with Label Free. To live your best life, you must live label free. And I'm back with another incredible guest. My next guest is an IBD specialist, the founder of Crohn's Colitis Lifestyle, and a functional nutritionist. Please welcome Dane Johnson. Dane, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I feel blessed to be here and everyone listening. Let's get into it. Let's get real results. Let's fix the gut, fix the
Yes.
pathogens, take our life back. I'm thankful to be here. Hopefully I can help change some lives today. God bless.
Yeah. Well, let's get into like the gut health thing really quick, and then we'll kind of dive a little bit deeper. I
Mhm.
feel like in the last maybe like 10 years, 10,
Yeah.
15 years, it has been, we never really talked about gut health before.
hmm
And so now we're talking about it a little bit more. We're talking about probiotics. We're talking about how we, like a lot of our issues come from the gut. And so we need to keep that area healthy. I
hmm
know when my grandparents were always big into supplementations. They took vitamins every day. My grandfather rode 30 miles on his bike up into his 80s. Like they were very healthy people. So like I mimicked that lifestyle as I grew up and got older. And we didn't take probiotics back then.
Yeah. Well, that's because the microbiome was more naturally just stable. What we have to understand about what's
Interesting.
going on, like IBD, IBS is an epidemic. When I mean epidemic, it's growing at rates that we can't really make sense of from genetics or just heritage. So we know it's an environmental problem. So clinically in the United States in 1999, there was about 1 million people diagnosed with IBD. By 2015, it was 2 million. By 2020, it was 3 million. So it's this
Whoa.
massive increase of inflammatory bowel disease. And we're considering around 20 to 30% of Americans have some form of IBS, constipation, or diarrhea. We are all getting our health robbed and we don't know what to do about it. We're bloated, we're gassy, we're crampy, we're getting cystic acne we can't explain. We're swollen in our feet and our hands we can't make sense of. We're getting tons of urgency and diarrhea. We feel like the food sensitivities are way out of control. Everyone's having
Yeah.
reactions to dairy and gluten and crackers, and we're all going on these famous diets, whether it's carnivore, SCD, AIP, vegan, and we're willing to work. And I think a lot of us listening right now is saying, I'm willing to work. I need something that makes sense. I need to get trained. I need something that's clear, integral, and effective. And so we want our lives back. We've never been more ambitious. When I was chronically sick, I nearly died of inflammatory bowel disease in 2014. Got my first signs of blood in 2009 in the stool. So IBD is chronic inflammation
Whoa.
now, and you get mucus, blood, urgency, diarrhea, severe weight loss, anemia, electrolyte deficiencies. You can get fissures and fistulas and strictures, all this really intense problems going on throughout the GI tract. And I'm 190 pounds. I dropped to 120 pounds,
Oh,
unable
wow.
to walk at 26 years old, fighting for my life. And none of my parents had IBD, none of their friends, no one I knew. We'd never even heard of it. So it's this epidemic. Now we could go over the whole epidemic, but I don't think that's the best use of our time for our
Yeah.
viewers. I think we want to know what are we going to do and why. And so if you're dealing with IBS or IBD, and I think irritable bowel syndrome, IBS, is basically like pre-IBD. Like, your pre-diabetes. I think it's
Right.
pre-IBD. If you get into a big stressful event, take any more of those antibiotics, maybe even potentially vaccines, I think it can mutate into a chronic inflammatory response, and then all of a sudden
Yeah.
you get diagnosed with IBD. So I just want you to say a diagnosis is subjective and it can change. I was diagnosed also with
Absolutely.
colitis, then Crohn's, then also colitis with gastritis, then Crohn's disease. They couldn't make sense at the different hospitals. I
But
think.
so many labels to put on you to like kind
Yeah.
of to sift through. And it's just like, forget about the labels. Let's just fix the problem.
Well, that's the interesting thing because as a young kid, I wasn't a doctor and I wasn't trying to be a doctor. I just wanted my life back. And then I kept
Right.
asking what I considered rational questions that they couldn't answer, or they told me not to think about it. Like, does food have anything to do with IBD? No, there's no clinical research to show that changing your diet will cure IBD. It's like, okay, but if I only eat once a day and do a bit of fasting and meditation, I can see a 40% reduction in symptoms. You're telling me there's no correlation?
Right. Right.
They're saying is there's no actual clinical reason to say this is going to cure you, but they're
Yeah.
they're missing the idea that like lifestyle, life empowerment is important. We want to get rid of our
Absolutely.
symptoms. So here's what I want to say is if you're dealing with IBS or IBD, I want you to realize that there are root issues that are 100% true that are not debatable, and it doesn't matter. No doctor can argue them. Okay, here's the root issues. Number one, digestion. If you have small intestine bacteria overgrowth, if you have a lot of undigested food in the stool, a lot of bloating, gas, GERD, gastritis, there is a digestive problem. Your digestive process as a human is injured. It is not optimized. So you have to fix your digestion. That's not about
Yeah.
debating whether IBS or IBD can be cured or not. That's just truth. You have to optimize your digestion.
Yeah.
And that's affecting your food sensitivity, your sleep, your skin, your ability to think properly, brain fog. It's affecting movements, all of it.
So how does someone fix that digestive problem?
3 things you got to do. You got to enhance your natural digestion, stomach acid. You've got to enhance your pancreatic enzyme output. A lot of us are dealing with low pancreatic enzymes. And number 3, we've got to flush the liver and get natural bile. Bile's made by the liver, not the gallbladder.
Sure, right.
We've got to get bile production moving, which helps us break down fats and also helps us absorb and utilize our fat-soluble vitamins, ADKE, and break down fats to create cholesterol, which helps regulate your hormones and make hormones. So I don't care who you are and what you talk about a diagnosis. If you have GI issues, you have poor digestion, period.
Yeah.
Put that down. We got to fix your digestion. This is not up for debate on whether this is a disease or what the root cause is. This like you have poor digestion. Number 2, you've got a imbalanced microbiome. Microbiome means city of bacteria. For the purpose of this simple conversation, I want you out there just to know, think of New York City for the bacteria. Yeah. Fungus, bacteria, viruses, cells, they're all talking to each other, honking at each other. Big city of bacteria. We need to get this in balance. You got too many robbers and criminals and
oh, I like that.
Okay. You got too many of those guys. Okay. You got, it's like you have got, like a lot of us listening, you have Gotham City and the Joker is running on Lower East Side, just wrecking things.
Yeah.
Okay. Now that's coming because our environment has destroyed the terrain of the gut. We're talking about, yes, I think I personally believe vaccines have something to do with this. I think the glyphosate, I think the chemicals, the emulsifiers like polysorbate 80 holding your ice cream together, your peanut butter together, the glyphosate on the wheat. That's why I think we're having such gluten allergies is because of the glyphosate and the high dose of gliadin. Okay, so what I want you to take from this is the microbiome is destroyed because of the terrain is being destroyed by heavy metals, environmental toxins, antibiotics, potentially unnecessary vaccines or what's in certain vaccines that we could just make them cleaner if you want to take vaccines. And also just the lack of beneficial food. Like our food is dying. We don't have fermented foods anymore. We don't have homemade yogurts. How many of you out there right now make your own homemade yogurt? But I can guarantee you your great-grandmother did. All of your great-grandmothers made homemade yogurt. Yeah. All of your great-grandmothers made homemade bread.
And it's so that's so easy to do. It's not that difficult.
It's not that difficult. It's cheaper and it's better. When things are cheaper and they taste better, it just takes a little bit of time. Just figure out the time. Either delegate it to someone else or just figure out how to do it once a week. So microbiome has to be built up. So the terrain is being injured. And then all of a sudden we're getting dysbiosis. Dysbiosis simply means that you have an overgrowth of certain bacteria that are supposed to be there. So there's not a balance. It's like a checks and balance.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
You can get rid of every robber in a city, but you can balance them with police. Right.
Yeah.
Think of police as
that. I love that analogy. That's awesome.
Yeah. You want balance. And so a balance is like you need enough police officers scrolling the streets to make sure there's not enough bad guys in there. That is where you have homeostasis in your microbiome. So I can guarantee you if you have IBS, if you have IBD, if you have diverticulitis, if you have gastritis, you have an imbalance in your microbiome. And this toxic world is affecting that. Our inability to understand it, know how to actually get it better is affecting that. So I want you to slowly work on how to get fermented foods. I want you to slowly work on getting out toxic substances. Get rid of glyphosate. Be careful with antibiotics. Get organic food. Make sure it's properly washed. Just take a little bit of time. Like food has never been cheaper, and we've never spent so little time preparing our own food than right now.
Yeah.
The average American, the average American spends 11% of their income on food and almost none of their time preparing it. But your great-grandfather spent 50% of their money, 30 to 50% of their money on food, and 30 to 50 to 70% of their time preparing it. Yeah. Harvesting it, growing it, making sure it's good for the winter, making sure they had to kill the steer and or the cow and properly prepare it and make sure none of that went to waste so we didn't starve in the winters. I mean, this was all just like 3-4 generations ago.
Yeah, it wasn't that far ago. So
microbiome is huge. You got to do that.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. We started talking about this before we jumped into the recording, and so I would have to say in alignment with what you're saying that the environment has really affected a lot of these different things that, quality of food, right? And you're talking about was it glyphosate? Is that what you said? Did I say that right?
Chemical, glyphosate.
And that is what the manufacturers are putting in, or is that coming from the environment?
No, it's a man-made chemical that was allowed to be sprayed around the United States, Canada, and parts of Europe in 1989. And if you look at the parallel of autism and autoimmune disease since the Great Spraying, I call it, they're going parallel up. All these diseases are going way up. Glyphosate has been proven and shown in a court of law that it causes cancer, that it destroys the microbiome, that it's extremely hard for your body to get rid of. And because it's sprayed everywhere, it's a water soluble. We can't get it out. It's in the rainwater. It's in the soil. If you want to learn more about this, look at Dr. Zach Bush. He's like the Mozart of functional medicine and glyphosate. He created a product called Biome. Check him out and listen to his lectures on glyphosate and how it's clinically shown to be causing all these diseases. So, and they've already been sued and lost in court. It's already done. So it's all made by Monsanto, but that's an example of one chemical.
Sure.
We also have so many other chemicals.
There's so many, yeah. I mean, just you walk outside, you're inhaling plastics, metals, body, like from people are cremated, you're inhaling that in the environment, right? And even in the water, like you should be drinking water, like hydrogen water. What is it, right? The water that
hydrogen water. Yeah. I mean, there's many different forms of water, but for the purpose of today's podcast, the takeaway I want to give you out there listening is you have to manage your air, food, and water.
Yeah.
And it's been poisoned. And the government parties are not properly managing how we're getting poisoned. And
they don't care. They don't care.
And so I know that's overwhelming and I know it could be expensive. So what we have to do is get you empowered and get you into an authentic, integral place to get trained, build a customized plan for you, make sure it makes sense for what country you live in, what state you live in, what financial situation you live in, and start winning, get resourceful and play it like a chess match because we have to take back our health. We have to reclaim our health so we can reclaim our kids' health, so we can empower our parents, empower everyone we love. And it's really our right. I think it's our right to pursue health and happiness, right?
So I agree. Let's just give some simple tips on where to start. So if they were to try to balance the microbiome in their gut, what would be a good way for them to start to do that?
So I want to teach you the spectrum of impact. Okay, one of the worst things you can do is say none of this matters and just go eat McDonald's and ice cream every day. The other spectrum could be warranted or debated that it's fasting. See, fasting is one of the fastest ways to heal. Now, if you're chronically sick, you have to be very careful of fasting. Autophagy, when you stop doing all of it, the body will start cleaning itself up. It'll reset the microbiome. It'll kill off senescent cells. It'll help clean up toxic cells that should be dead or killed off, and also help to kill off candidiasis or small intestine bacteria overgrowth, things like that. So everyone goes, oh, well, I can just fast for 3 days. It could be helpful, but you need to know what you're doing. You need to speak with a practitioner. Someone like me who is malnourished, underweight with IBD should not be fasting. So if you're super sick, super malnourished, anemic, low electrolytes, do not fast yet. You have to be more strategic. So we know that the body has the ability to start healing itself. So that means on the spectrum to the right is this idea of getting out of the body's way. So one of the cheapest, most successful ways you can get results today is get out of the body's way. I want you to stop. I want you to reduce snacking. I want you to reduce eating things that you have to open a wrapper or a box to do. I want you, like you said, label free. Clean food doesn't usually require a label. I mean, what's the label of a sweet potato? What's the label of a chicken? What's the label of a carrot? So I think that's the beauty of the name of your podcast is when I started trying to take my life back as a 24, 25-year-old young man who was overwhelmed with all these doctors telling me I was going to be sick for the rest of my life. My colon removed and I failed Entyvio, prednisone, all of that. When I started saying, I don't know how, but I'm going to have faith.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm insane, but I'm going to just be convicted on controlling what I can control.
Yeah.
It's just made healing my number one priority. And when I went to the grocery store, I just realized something that just makes sense is take variables out. So when you just start with conviction. Start learning how to dance in the rain. Start with a heart filled with you're going to decide what your fate is, and you're going to take that paddle and swim upstream. And you're not going to just be a victim. And I was a victim for 4 years, failing with IBD and everyone screaming I had to get my colon removed. I never did. I had to be on Entyvio Remicade for the rest of my life. I haven't taken a medication in 10 years that I'd never be able to get symptom free. I don't have symptoms, and I'm able to help. I've helped thousands, 3,000. We've helped more people with IBD than any doctor, clinic, or hospital on the planet. We pride ourselves in our results because our team has IBD. All my team members, 90% of our team members have IBD, specialized in IBD, have reversed IBD, and all they see is IBD. So
that's amazing.
I just wanted to build what I needed. And so when I look back on how I started and I talk about that story, these are the things that really changed everything. When I finally got results after spending 40, 50 grand on natural medicine, didn't work. After going to all these different hospitals and taking all these drugs and flying all around the United States, not getting results. Number one, I had to make healing my number one priority. I had to get happy to get healthy. I had to journal. I had to be Dr. Dane twice a day and journal on everything I was experiencing so I could look back and start finding trends. Like, do you know how many bowel movements you had 10 days ago? Do you know what your pain was like? Do you know how bad your skin was? Do you know how you
Yeah.
slept? Do you know what happened with your weight fluctuation when you made certain variable changes?
Hmm.
So I needed to create a healing journal. And then I needed to be accountable because one of the best ways to get impact is what you're not doing in the beginning. It's not what you are doing.
Sure.
A lot
Yeah.
of us just say, okay, just tell me the $400 of supplements and I'll just go buy them, Dane, right now.
Yeah.
Tell me
Right.
the
Right.
DBT, tell me the probiotic, tell me about
It's
indigo, tell
not
me
that
about
easy.
well, I'm just saying that for you to win long term, you've got to start with a life that you can be consistent with and balanced, that divorces poison and divorces things that cause inflammation. That's where I want you to start. So try to stay on the outside of the grocery store. Try to continue to get things that don't have labels. The reason you're buying labels is because they're convenient, because you don't
Right.
have to
It's easy.
boil them. You don't have to
Yeah.
cook them.
It's
So
easy.
you're paying a convenience tax. Do you want to take the highway where you got to pay the pay toll? A lot of us will take an extra 10 minutes in the car because we don't want to pay the toll fees.
Right.
I'm like, why are you paying the toll fees at the grocery store?
Right.
Why are
That's
you paying the toll
your
fees?
analogies are phenomenal. I love it. Like it
Thank you.
really puts things in perspective in a very easy way that people can understand.
You know why? I think God blessed me this idea of taking difficult things and making them simple for everyday people because I was a person who needed it in layman's terms. I
Yeah.
go to the doctor and they throw all these terms at me. I'm like, wait, just layman's terms. What's
Yeah.
going on?
Right.
What's going on? Food doesn't matter. That doesn't make sense. Food doesn't matter.
Right.
Trauma, stress doesn't matter. That doesn't make sense. It's common sense. So I went convicted towards common sense. When you're in doubt and you need to know what to do next, just look at what your great grandfather did. Look at what your great grandmother did. A
Yeah.
lot of what you need to do is just start to marry their lifestyle. Try to get from local farms, eat foods that don't require labels, get rid of convenient taxes, stop snacking. Don't get on the offense till you have a great defense. So an offense is I need to do a parasite cleanse. I need to do a Candida cleanse. I need to get rid of, I need to get in the sauna and get rid of heavy metals and
Yeah.
mold. That's offense. That is great. But until you have a consistent daily practice that eliminates inflammatory practices, the offense won't matter as much. You're going to keep
Yeah.
getting punched in the nose every time you throw a right hook. You've
Yeah.
got to get here. You've got to learn how to avoid inflammation. So divorce modern eating, get rid of most of this restaurant food's trash. It's one of my goals to make my own restaurant in life because it's just,
Oh, I love
even
that.
I don't think they're as good as they can be.
Yeah.
And, healthy food, as I think, is a constitutional right that we need to get our power back and go after. So start with the emotional and eat real food and try to go to bed at the same time. Stop drinking alcohol because it's not going to help you heal. You can
Yeah.
drink, you heal if you want. I got to the point where I healed and I could drink, but now I don't want to drink because I've
Yeah.
spiritually changed. I don't
Yeah.
drink alcohol. I don't smoke weed anymore. I don't do any of that because I've spiritually changed. Now,
Yeah.
I'm not judging anyone because that was how I lived for a long
Sure,
time.
sure. Yeah, to each his own. I don't no
Yeah,
judgment here whatsoever.
yeah,
But
no judgment, no
you know,
judgment
but
at all. Yeah.
there if you are battling some of these issues that we're talking about, you have to be your own advocate and do things that are going because your health is your number one greatest asset. If you don't
Isn't
have
that
your health, you don't have anything. Like my late husband, I'm remarried now. My first husband, his life just it was a downward decline. And to watch someone just lose their battle with life and not have a good quality of life, like that should be your number one priority. Because if you can't take care of yourself, you can't take care of anybody else. And then it's just a downward spiral. Like I watched it and it's just it really put things in perspective for me. And
Yep.
it's just like that's everything. Like I have to take care of me.
Exactly. I mean, you could save $15 million by the time you're 50 years old, and then all of a sudden you're
Right.
using all that money to try to get back your health. And if you end up dying early, what was it worth? And
Nothing.
so my naturopath professor used to say most people sacrifice their health to get rich, then they sacrifice their riches to get healthy. And I just thought that always stuck with me. It was brilliant. Like we want to kind of do both. We want to make money, want to take care of our families, want to go on
Yeah.
vacations, but we want to build a life that we continue to do it under a practice that reduces the risk of chronic disease.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm trying to enroll everyone in right now is try to, and I use the word marriage and divorce because it's like a covenant. Like, can you and your family make a covenant with yourself that healing is going to be a priority? And as you go after your goals and after you go after your lifestyle and you go laugh and smile and play and hug and kiss and all the things that you can do it in a way that is truly integral to your body, to your temple. And our society in the Western world has kind of robbed us of that. So, but I also want to
I
say
agree.
that when in the 1930s, whose job was it to be healthy? If someone got the flu, if someone got sick, the family had to figure out, are we doing oregano? There were no
Right.
antibiotics.
Yes. Yeah.
Like What are we doing? It was always our responsibility. We
Yeah.
delegated it, and delegating our wealth or our health was were the two biggest mistakes we ever made. So take your power back. And
Yes.
so now, as you start taking your power back, I want to talk about what you want to do on the offense. You usually want to go
Okay.
after 5 pathogens. Here are the 5 pathogens you want to start looking for in lab work or biofrequency technology
Okay.
or symptoms. You want to go parasites, viral,
Yes.
okay, viral, bacterial, Candida, and then mold. Now, Candida and mold are both fungus, but they're two separate entities in how they respond to your body. So those are predominantly the things you want to go after. Like bacteria could be Campylobacter or H. pylori, E. coli, C. diff. Viral can be Epstein-Barr, cytomegalovirus, herpes simplex virus, echovirus, Coxsackie virus. I find all of these, not with everyone, but I commonly find them as root issues with IBD. So
Wow.
I do a viral panel. I do one in Germany with a very specific medical doctor who made one for my community. About 40 to 50% of the members I'm testing are coming back with current, active, localized viruses in the gut.
Holy cow. That's crazy.
And so when you get really sick, it's not, and here's another thing about these pathogens, it's not one, it's usually multiple. When you've been sick for a long time, they like when you have candidiasis, overgrowth of candida that has proliferated from the colon where it naturally lives up into the small intestine or into the duodenum area. That is going to cascade inflammation and cause a weakening of the immune system, which increases the chance that you're going to activate Epstein-Barr virus. Same thing with mold, same thing with parasites. So they kind of work on each other. It's like the death
Yeah,
of the
for
river
sure.
turns into the pond. And when you're looking at the pond, you're thinking, what is the poisonous thing in that pond? You're like, it's probably about 20 things that are poisonous in that
Yeah.
pond. And it's the same thing in your microbiome. So it's
Yeah.
just, and so when I almost died, I found parasites. The doctors never told me I had parasites. I found them.
Right. And let's talk about that when you're done with what you're explaining,
Yeah.
because yeah.
Yeah. So the 5 pathogens I had cytomegalovirus. It nearly killed me. Doctors never told me at Mayo Clinic, Cedars-Sinai, UCLA that I had that. They just told me I had IBD. They never told me I had parasites. I found Blastocystis hominis and Cyclospora. Doctors never told me I had parasites. Never even tested. How many of you out there has your doctor even done a non-invasive stool analysis on you? Like 1 out of 1,000. They're not even
Yeah.
checking. They're just saying, here, they're stamping a disease on our forehead and said, here's your Imurin, here's your prednisone, here's your Entyvio.
Yeah.
I'll see you later. The third one, they never told me I had H. pylori infection. That's why I had the gastritis and ulcerations. It was H. pylori was one of my big issues. They never told me I had low stomach acid. They never told me I had SIBO. They never told me I had, Campylobacter and other types of bacteria that was very dysbiotic in my non-invasive stool analysis, where I found in my organic acid test. They never told me I had high mold spores in my sinuses. I found Candida at high levels in just a simple test, a simple
Wow.
$400 test. And it was like, well, yeah, you've got overgrowth of Candida that's proliferating in your gut, causing massive cytokine reaction. It's causing more blood and mucus. You need to get rid of it. Do you know how many clients I've worked with where I got rid of the Candida or reset the microbiome and their symptoms go down 90%?
Oh,
And their
I
food
believe it.
tolerance goes up 10x? Like I couldn't handle a banana. Now I'm eating oatmeal and I'm eating eggs and
Wow.
I'm eating salads.
Yeah.
Because once the inflammation gets under control, and we have severe cases and we have moderate cases and we have
Sure.
easy cases. So some clients we can get results in 10 days, 7 days. Some clients it's going to take 4 months, 5 months. Other clients it's going to take, a year because they've been sick for 25 years and had 5
Yeah.
surgeries on biologics for 20 years. We see those cases too. It just depends, but we're convicted on hitting home runs for people. So
I
those
love
are the
it.
pathogens. And then the other things you have to do to get real results with IBD or any autoimmune disease. Because if I'm going to fix any autoimmune, I'm going to fix the gut. So what I do for IBD, I kind of do for all disease, cancer or
Sure.
autoimmune. I've
Okay.
got to. So the second thing, so we have the pathogens. We got to slowly look at them strategically. You just don't go throw up all these antimicrobials in your body. You got to take your time. But I'm going to work on drainage. I got to work on my 5 drainage pathways: lymphatic system, kidney, liver, the ability to poop, and the ability to sweat. If you're not able to do these things, you're going to get overwhelmed with toxins. And I've even had someone reverse dysplasia, and they had colorectal cancer before. And the biggest thing we did for that young woman was work on her detox pathways because she could not get rid of the toxin load and her body
Wow.
was in a state of inflammation. So it could be an epigenetic issue, your HLA-DQ, your underlying secretive mold they haven't found causing high C4A and high SIRS, chronic inflammatory response syndrome. You could be dealing with MTHFR gene where you can't properly detoxify and you're eating enriched flour and wheat and
Ooh.
breads with
Yeah.
folic acid or iron that's absolutely destroying your body. You could just have a backed up liver. Most people, do you know 30% of people with IBD end up getting some sort of liver disease?
No, I didn't know that.
So I'm talking, non-fatty liver disease or primary sclerosing cholangitis or all these things. The liver is getting backed up from the endotoxins from proliferating from the weakened microbiome. So there's a cascade effect of disease. So the liver is like Robin to your Batman for the gut.
Sure.
You will
Yeah.
never fix the gut properly until you get that liver working right. So liver and then kidneys are super big. Kidneys also help filter water, and they also filter after the liver. So if the liver's bad, the kidney's bad. Lymphatic system runs adjacent with your blood vessels.
Yep.
So the only thing is that your lymphatic system doesn't have a heart to pump blood like your bloodstream does. So your lymphatic system doesn't move unless you're moving.
Yep.
So you've got to be able to sweat, pressure. That's why we do lymphatic massage,
Yes.
pressures.
Yep.
That's why we rub and vibrate and do all these things to help. That's why we do rebounding, which is a big word for jumping on a trampoline for adults. Why don't we just say, you jump on a trampoline?
Yeah, right.
It's rebounding, okay?
Yeah. Oh gosh.
I just
Okay.
laugh at that. It's funny. But so there's the drainage. You got to work on drainage. You got to work on pathogens. And you got to work on the nervous system. So when you've been stamped in the forehead with a disease, you are dealing in emotional trauma. That's why so many people have said God healed them, or EFT, emotional freedom technique healed them, or German new medicine healed them, or EMDR healed them, because they're resetting the nervous system. They're changing the signal to their body. And that's helping to stimulate the vagal nerve. And vagal nerve regulates motility and digestion, which we just talked about. So important. You can't poop, you can't heal, you can't digest.
I would go crazy if I could not poop. Like that would, oh my gosh, no. I'm very regular.
Yeah, you got to be regular. And a lot of us are out there and going, man, I can't poop. Maybe that's why I'm feeling bad. Yeah. And it's why you're swollen, and it's why you're getting brain fog, and it's why you're getting anxiety at night. And it's why you're getting cramping and pain. It's why you're not getting food tolerance. So it's constipation, I think, is just as bad as people having 10 to 15 diarrhea. I mean, the diarrhea can be more life-threatening if you're chronically bleeding and electrolyte issues and you're losing weight. But the diarrhea, I mean, the constipation is a serious issue too. So we got to work on the nervous system. We got to work on drainage. We got to work on pathogens. We've got to make sure we take into consideration your emotional experience, your epigenetics, your ability to properly detoxify, and how your body can do that. And we've got to go slow. And we've got to be strategic. So the last thing I would say is, healing is like a chess match. It's not checkers, it's chess. You don't know your next move until you see the opponent's move. So what we do is the things that when I built the Shield program in CCL, I wanted to say, I'm just going to build what I needed, because it took me so much time and so much money to finally get real results. Here are the things you want to look for. Okay. If you're ready to heal, this is what you want to look for in some company and some type of investment. If you need a coach, if you need a community. Okay. Number one, you want someone who specializes in the exact disease that you're dealing with, and preferably they've actually had that disease themselves.
Yeah.
Because I just see too many people in their ivory tower talking from what the book said, and they don't actually know what they're hyper or micro doing with that case. Number two is, I would say that make sure that they're just continuing to see that, and they can show you testimonies of helping people achieve what you're looking to achieve. If you can't see recorded testimonies of people validating that they've gotten symptom free or changed their life with this, I'd be cautious of the investment.
Absolutely.
Number three, the plan needs to be customized to you. If they're using the same 6 products with every single person, if they're just putting everyone through these same trainings, I would say you got a 30% chance of success. It's like a diet. We all read a famous diet, right? We've all read famous diets, and 30% of us do well with SED or carnivore or vegan, and 30% have no change, and 30% do terribly worse.
Yeah.
When you do something generic, I find it's the 1/3 principle, about 1/3, 1/3, 1/3 when you do something generic, like a diet or an idea of healing. And so many practitioners out there can't scale customization, okay? You can't scale customization. It's not good for business.
Yeah.
So that's where I think we, as in a capitalistic world, need to choose a little bit morals over money. So I went the long way. I didn't create such a scalable company. I created the most impactful IBD program on the planet, because I can only take so many clients. Everyone gets their own coach. Every coach is a specialist of IBD, and every coach helps to customize their plan as they go through the program.
Do you have a waiting list then?
We do sometimes. Yeah. I mean, I'm always trying to balance that. So like I'm always training coaches. I'm always looking for new people. I just hired a naturopath doctor of 20 years last week to oversee our coaches. And then I brought another ND DC. One of our coaches has 3 doctorates. He came on like 6 months ago. Then I brought in another ND in Canada like 3 months ago.
Oh, amazing.
And then some of our senior coaches, they've seen so many clients. They're again, their clients want to stay with them long term, that I can't really. They don't have many openings anymore.
Sure.
So
That's
goal,
a beautiful thing, though, that you're helping that many people.
Yeah, and I'm trying. I mean, I can only help about 600 people a year in our Shield
Wow.
program. So just to show you guys, this is real. This is legit. Like
Yeah.
we can only help so many people. I want to be able to help 1,000. I got to train. I mean, it takes me about a year to train a coach. Even someone with
Yeah.
an ND, even someone who has a lot of experience. You
Yeah.
need hundreds of
Well, I
reps.
mean, this conversation has been very enlightening. You're highly intelligent and knowledgeable around the subject matter. Clearly, you said things that I've never even heard of before, and the fact that you have it so dialed down of things to look for really just speaks volumes of, you know, what you've been through and what you can do for people, and just knowing the underlying issues to start looking for instead of just putting a label on it and saying, "Oh, you got this. Let me just write you a prescription." Because at the end of the day, I personally don't believe that writing a prescription is always the right answer. I think sometimes it's probably the worst thing that they could do for you. But that's for another conversation. We are kind of we're our time has
We're wrapping up.
lapsed, so it's time to wrap things up. I did want to get into the parasite conversation. We might have to have you back for a follow up, because I think that is something that needs to be talked about a little bit more, because it's something I didn't know about, and I think that doing a parasite cleanse, it would be very powerful for people to know to do and give them some resources. But with that being said, where is a good where can people find you, connect with you, and learn more if they need to work with you, Dane?
Yeah, crohn's-lifestyle.com. You can find us on Instagram, crohn's-lifestyle. Me, I'm Dane Johnson 1 on Instagram. We're on YouTube, Instagram, website, organic. You can find us wherever you want to find us. And I would just leave people with this idea that become the answer. Don't look for the answer. And the golden goose of what you're after right now is to become self-empowered, not just get MPS. MPS is a common, spiritual disease I see right now in our community, which is called magic protocol syndrome. And
Mm,
you have to play this like a chess match. I don't want you taking anything that you don't agree with, that you can't write me 2 to 3 sentences on what it does and why you're taking it.
yeah.
And get a part of a community that's integral, and get a part of a community that has a goal and a mission and an impact, and find a healing home. And
Yeah.
if you think we could be that case for us, make sure to click the link. I'll give you a link
Okay.
on this so everyone here can get a
Yeah.
free 1 hour IBD strategy session
Oh,
with one of the specialists.
okay.
So we want to deep dive. We want you here if it's a good fit, and um, we're here to make real results. So you can schedule a 1 hour call with one of our IBD support specialists. We do see IBS if we think it's integral. Trust and integrity are huge for us. We have to come in because we're talking about chronic disease. We're talking about sick
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
I got to be straight up, right? About what we
Absolutely.
can do and what we can't
1000%.
do. So you can do a 1 hour. We'll deep dive. We'll talk about what you've tried, what you haven't tried, where you are with conventional, where you are with all your stuff, and see if it's a good fit. And if it's not, there's no hassle, there's no costs, there's no gimmicks or tricks. And so we hold space for that. And that's the best way. You can check us out more. Click on that link below. Let
Yeah.
us know you came from Label
Yeah.
Free.
He's
And
using he's taking the words out of my mouth. The links will also be in the show notes, you guys. So if you're listening or watching, go click the links in the show notes. It'll also be here on the screen if you're watching this. So definitely go check him out. If you know of someone if you or someone you know could benefit from having this call, please, you could be saving their life and your own. So do not hesitate to schedule that call. Dane, you've already dropped so much wisdom, but this is the part of the show where I like to ask for last words of wisdom. Anything else you'd like to leave with us?
um, yeah, get convicted about what you want your life to be. Learn to dance in the rain through these tough times, and realize that you have the power, and that faith goes a long way, and you're not alone. And I want you to write this down and go with it. Make the worst thing that ever happened to you the best thing.
Ooh,
Just ask yourself, how do I do that?
I like that. That was very good. Dane, what amazing. Just blowing my mind. Like I'm ready to do a water fast. I'm ready to like do a parasite cleanse. I mean, I'm pretty, knock on wood, I'm a pretty healthy individual, but I'm sure there's places where I could improve. But like just I feel so empowered now from like what you've shared. So thank you so much for being such an incredible guest and being so passionate about wanting to help people and empower them to really question their line to their path to healing.
Thank
Thank
you.
you
God
so
bless. And then happy healing, guys.
yes. You guys, this is your host, Deanna Radulescu with Label Free. To live your best life, you must live label free. As always, don't forget to subscribe, follow, rate, review, comment, share, all those good things. And I'll be back soon with more dynamic guests.